CLC Jawa, and in a perfect world, which we don't live in, but we try to get there, the board would be prepared to vote. Is that something that, so I understand procedure-wise, is that something you have to bring before the board to put to a vote for the following board meeting? And does it have to be done tonight, or, you know, because if they give you, you know, can you call a special, can you add it to an agenda, or does it have to be done tonight for 2 weeks from now or a week from now, so that if you come to the board if you go to the board meeting tomorrow night and things work out the way everybody hopes, we're not left shorthanded by not putting something to potentially to a vote, setting it up now, and then if you have more time to table it. I just, you know, I'm curious, that's all.
Yeah,
That makes
so
sense.
the normal process for that is, so tomorrow is, we're gonna go and give our presentation to them in order to preserve the option, right? And what we're going through there is on their meeting. The reason why we post it as a special meeting for us is because there's more than 3. So if you have more than a quorum, then you have to post it as a public meeting. So that's why it was, but it's not actually a public meeting like this. So no official business will be conducted. So the normal process is that you bring it to the COW, we discuss it, then it goes to the next agenda to be voted on. And that always applies.
So in other words, if it works out favorably, then you would go to the COW, and then from there put it on the agenda to be voted on at the next board meeting. So
Not necessarily that timeline though, because there's several things that need to be resolved.
no.
So if they say, yes, we want to keep working with you, then we'll work with them and we'll set a timeline for how we're going to get these things done. I just want to set a realistic expectation for you.
No,
And say, yes, they agree to what we're asking for. It's probably not going to happen Ricky Tick. It's not going to happen, you know, 2 meetings from now or so.
I understand. I'm just trying to get, thank you, and I'm trying to just get a flavor of that. But if things, like some stretch, happen to be, I know you're not going to commit to something, I'm asking, but it could happen in 2 weeks. It sounds like it may not, but you're saying that if it does, the committee of the whole meeting is where you would then put it on the agenda for the following board meeting to be voted on, just as a matter of point, right?
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be the process.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. Yes?
Once again, Mark Knitty, 1203 East Bonnet. So, at this meeting tomorrow night, and the Jawa board sets the line saying that this is the end of the timeline. Are you willing to walk away from it?
That decision's actually already, you know, been put to us twice. That, hey, you're either all in now or you're not in. And so, you know, we have too many questions that need to be answered. I mean, similarly, you face this yourself. I mean,
I know, but
this exact same kind of issues.
with the admissions agreement that you have in your hand that you have not.
I couldn't hear you.
I said, with the admissions agreement that you have in your hand that you have not given your board yet, are you willing to accept that agreement?
That is nothing that we've discussed yet, and that is actually because.
When do you plan on discussing that?
Because that is a piece and parcel thing. There's too many.
Just answer me the question. When do you plan as a board?
Yeah, that's one of 5 agreements to do what the resolution's asking to, so that's not enough. To answer your question directly, that doesn't change anything. The overall.
So then my question is, if it doesn't change anything and they say, this is it, you're willing to walk away?
And that remains to be seen. You know,
No,
we can't.
don't, just answer my question. Are you willing to walk away from it?
Well, that's something we're continuing to work on. That's what I'm saying.
No, you didn't answer my question.
I
Are
did.
you willing to walk away from it if they draw the line?
So if they say, oh, we're not gonna continue to work with you, does that mean that we're never gonna talk to CLC Jawa again about the option?
What they're
No.
asking you is to sign that resolution that you have in your hand. Are you gonna sign that?
No, we can't.
The date is
execute
passed.
that.
now.
This is
I
the
understand
thing.
that.
The
But
board already.
what I'm asking you is, are you gonna walk away if they say this is it?
Number one is that this isn't.
No,
I am
don't,
going to
just
do this.
answer me, yes or no.
I'm answering you by your
No.
question. You
Yes
said,
or no?
am I going to do this? I'm not going to do anything, because this is a board vote.
And when is the
Period.
board gonna vote on it? You haven't even given them the information
The
yet.
board already considered this twice, and they did vote on it. Once was a
They don't have the
consensus, and
final
once
info.
was a vote. They were actual board votes. So this already happened twice, same scenario. And so just to be clear, if this doesn't work out with CLC Jawa, number one, there are other options. Number two, that doesn't mean that we would write off CLC Jawa and not communicate with them, because I believe that we would.
Could we get a comment from the board then? What's their feeling on this? Or what are they gonna do?
Does anybody want to make any special comment about this that we haven't already made?
Mayor, I got a comment to the board. all due respect, Mark, do not negotiate your position in public. I mean, there's questions, legitimate questions, and I understand.
But you're gonna be asked the final question tomorrow night.
I've gotten plenty of indication of what we're gonna be asked. through
So have I,
channels.
and I know exactly what you're gonna be asked.
Well, it might change.
Well,
So
We
then,
don't,
and that's,
the board has, CLC Java board, I'm gonna give this to Linda, it came in Friday, tonight. But CLC Java's board has not approved this so-called agreement that is all the topic of conversation. Are we gonna accept it? We'd like to get something that we know is formally approved by the CLC Java board. It's certainly approved by staff. You can extrapolate that the board will approve their staff recommendation, but it's their agreement that they're tendering. Until they approve it,
well, their board thinks that that agreement, I mean, they have all seen it and they know what that is.
It's the
it's
tip of the
not
iceberg.
even, I mean, it doesn't even have signature bars on it, it has blanks, I mean, it's not something you would sign.
It's just an agreement to move forward with them.
We will be discussing that with them tomorrow.
so, and that's the gist of it, is that the board will continue to work on this, our planning team will continue to work on this, and we're gonna have to come up with good, solid information before there is a decision point. There's multiple
And
agreements.
let me
in
just
this,
add one
multiple
other point.
agreements.
They think you have all the information you need to make a decision.
That's why we're going to present to them.
Okay.
But we're gonna have face-to-face communication, so they understand our point of
And
view.
you could have had this communication with them weeks ago if you wanted to, months ago.
We met with
Nothing
them.
really has changed in the last 4 months than what you have.
So now, we did meet with them, and they did give us their information, and things have changed. As an example, our original route study that we discussed with them is now 51% higher because of fees from engineers that we did not agree to.
Well,
So it
just
has
like
nothing to
our,
do with the
just
economy,
like
it
our
has
internal
nothing to do with
improvements have
time.
gone up. Everything goes
Has
up
nothing
because
to do
you've
with
waited.
It had nothing to do with that whatsoever. What they did was they changed from 60 hours to 300 plus hours for engineering. Wrong, that's not what we agreed to, so there's a problem with that, and that's what we have to sit and negotiate. And as Rudy said, these negotiations don't happen in public, right? That's not the way to negotiate, and this is not the way to resolve
But
this.
the thing is, this resolution that you could possibly sign, you can walk away from. It's not a binding forever contract.
And that is not exactly the right approach. If you're going to go into something, you don't wanna commit funds, and you don't wanna have someone else take a position
But it's
that
giving you an
that
out to
assumes
leave
that
if
you're
you
going
don't
to
like
be in
what's going on.
this partnership, and then you back out, because now you're on the hook, now you owe money to someone, and you've committed public dollars because you backed out of a contract. So that's not the position that we're going to put this village in, because that's not the way to operate. Normally, people will sit down, they'll discuss the details in full detail, they'll both agree to it, and then they can move forward. Until that happens, we can't move forward.
The
And
only
that's
question I
about-
want you to answer yes or no is if you don't like, were you gonna walk away from it? That's all I wanna know.
And I told you, I don't vote on this is not my choice.
And
So
when is
to
the
answer
board
your
gonna-
question, I have
If
nothing
tomorrow
to do
night
with
is
that.
the drop dead date, how is the board gonna answer your question?
They already have twice. They've already have twice. They voted on it, and
So
there was
you're
a
telling me
consensus.
you're gonna
Both
walk
were
away from it?
unanimous. The point is we will continue, the elected officials and the planning team will continue to do their jobs. And that's what they've done, and they've done a fine job.
I
Yes.
hope you can appreciate, Mr. Mayor, that from the standpoint of the citizens, it looks an awful lot like you're playing chicken with our money. And we're running down the highway, and they're running down the highway, waiting for somebody to blink. And, you know, I don't know who's gonna run off the road, or if anybody's gonna run off the road. We've got a lot of skin in this game. We want our water situation to improve, and we want it to move forward on the timetable that everybody believed was going to be happening a year ago, when all this stuff was put in the works. And all of a sudden, we're up against a deadline, and there may be some secret deadlines, there may be some secret extensions, but right now, and I hope you can appreciate, this is why there's some frustration in the community. The impression is to us is, we don't have answers, we see a looming deadline and a cliff. And that's not transparency, and I understand negotiations take place in private behind the scenes. I've been involved in an awful lot of negotiations over the years, but the lack of disclosure as to what real deadlines are. Clearly, the Jawa board has been communicating with you based on what you're telling us, and maybe they've given us a secret handshake extension, maybe they haven't, but you seem to have information about what you think they're going to do that hasn't been shared with us and may or may not have been shared with the board. And that's frustrating for us as taxpayers, voters, constituents, people who did a lot of work to get a referendum passed, people who have a high expectation of us getting the high-quality Lake Michigan water that we expected to get. And so that's the frustration, Mayor, that you're seeing from the audience.
We're still working on the project.
You're costing us
No
money.
monies are committed yet, so we're not playing chicken with any dollars, right? And the point is that this so-called cliff, as you mentioned, was not created by us, right?
No, you.
And this deal is a complex deal. There's multiple aspects to this deal that have to be agreed to. That hasn't occurred yet. As far as the negotiations go, we've showed what we've talked about in detail, right? We gave out the information that we have. So there's nothing that hasn't been shared with the board and for that matter with the public. So that part is crystal clear, it's transparent, what we've done so far. And the net result is that there still has to be negotiation and discussions to get to a point where we can even bring it to the board to vote.
Well,
They don't know what they're voting on.
I would respectfully disagree with the fact that it's been disclosed. Even your own board hasn't seen this redlined agreement yet. So,
Just getting Friday.
okay, well, it came in
Well,
Friday, this
it's
is
Tuesday.
This is Tuesday night. I mean,
Tomorrow's the meeting.
Yeah,
Well, that can be a strategy too, get the document, I mean,
Your
how long
strategy.
has this board discussed that we needed a final form of this agreement? Weeks and weeks and weeks, we get it Friday, a few days before the, meeting tomorrow night, so, it's not a panic situation by any means. Most of what we talked about was in there. I mean, there aren't even signature bars, and the board hasn't approved it, their board. So, I mean, it's a discussion document.
I